until I see it. All of your promises are yeah, and amen.
What's up, people? How you doing today? I am Coach Michael Lowman, and welcome to the 5th official episode of And Now I See. Man, this has been an interesting journey. I just want to thank everyone who has subscribed. I want to thank everyone who has taken a minute to send me a note. I want to thank everyone who has taken a moment to leave a comment, write a question, press dislike. I just want to thank everybody for interacting with this project. It's a project of love. It's a labor of love. You know, my goal and my desire is just to serve as the alarm clock for the entire planet and just wake up your hopes, wake up your dreams, wake up your goals. And today is a very, very special day. So all of you know, in the very beginning, I've been big on the 6 higher mental faculties: the imagination, the intuition, the memory, the will, perception, and reason. And I've gone through all of them except for memory and reason. And today is Reason Day. So we're going to be going over the 6 higher mental faculty of reason and how to use the inductive reasoning factor for your good. Because quite frankly, and I know I did this for a lot of years, I used to use this factor against myself. I used to use this factor to keep me in a stuck place. I used to use this factor unbeknown to myself that I was creating my own prison. And once I learned that I was at the helm of this gift and I was in control and I could actually flip it and turn it and make it work out for my good, that's when everything began to change. So that's what we're going to be talking about today, people. We're going to be talking about how to use the higher gift of inductive reasoning. And fact of the matter is, I have a very, very special guest. That's right. As you can see from past episodes, I've only had one guest, and that was my daughter, very first episode. So I wanted to kind of get through this foundational period so that we would all be speaking the same language. So I haven't had a guest up until now. But how many of you know when magic strikes, then you got to capitalize? And this gentleman struck magic with me because he helped me to broaden my thinking and to really stretch the limits of, or the self-imposed limits that I had on my understanding. And so this gentleman is a philosopher. This gentleman is a writer. And if anyone is familiar with the story of Marcus Aurelius was a gentleman who was in great power hundreds of years ago. He was in great power. And in order to stay humble, in order to keep his wits about him, because he had so many people depending on him, he had so many people giving him accolades, he had so many people that he was responsible for. He had a gentleman who used to just walk behind him, and his only job was to whisper in Aurelius' ear, "You are only a man. You are only a man. You are only a man. You are only a man." I love it. And this gentleman, my next guest, he does that for me. And it's interesting because as a coach and as a mentor, I spend a lot of time giving out. I spend a lot of time helping to build others. But how many know in order to be a great leader, you need to be an even better follower? And my next guest, this gentleman has kind of stepped in as that advisor. I would dare even say softer side of me, because he gives me a perspective that has actually gotten hardened just from life. I've come from absolutely zero. I never had one handout. I often joke. They say people were born with a silver spoon. I say I was born with a wooden spoon and it was full of splinters. I wasn't given anything. Everything I received, I got from the mud. So I have a very kind of hardened, absolute way of looking at things. Like, listen, if I could do it, you could do it. I had to do it, you got to do it. But this next gentleman, and he stretches my way of thinking, he stretches my reasoning. That's why I wanted to bring him on. I just want to introduce you. Lo and behold, my guy, James Heine.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it, Mike. Happy to be here. Honored to be here. Looking forward to this.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Thank you for coming on. It's interesting because how much preparation did I give you for this episode?
Oh, tons of preparation. About 5 minutes. But I work best under pressure, so I'm happy to be here and looking forward to what comes out.
Yeah,
Talking about some great things.
absolutely, and I know you do. So, we were having a conversation, James, and we were talking because I was getting prepared for this episode.
Yeah.
And my initial thoughts was I was just going to do it alone because I wanted to explain what the inductive reasoning factor is. And trust me, just stay with me. I promise. I'm going to get to it. We're going to get there. And lately we've been talking a lot about what have we been talking about?
Gray areas. Yeah.
And what else?
Contradictions
Right.
and self-worth.
Yes. Wow. You see this? This is the type of conversations me and my friends have. What are you guys talking about? What y'all talking about? Diddy? Cassie? Drake? Kendrick Lamar? All distractions. But me and my friends, this is what we talk about. Now, there's a saying, James, I don't know if you've ever heard this. It said, small minds discuss people, average minds discuss events, but great minds discuss ideas.
I haven't. That's a good one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Once again, I'm going to say that for anyone listening and taking notes. Small minds discuss people. Average minds discuss events. And great minds discuss ideas. So we were discussing the idea of contradictions. We were discussing the ideas of gray areas, and we were discussing the ideas of self-worth. Now, James, the thing that's so powerful about that, tell the world what my perspective was on the gray areas right from the beginning.
You were pretty much
I was against it.
get out of there as fast as you can sort of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was strong in my absolutes, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Because you said to me, and actually people, he said, you worry me because you speak in a lot of absolutes.
Yeah.
And I've come to live in kind of like it's either black or white. I'm either going to do it or I'm not going to do it. It's either going to get done or it's not going to get done. However, that's why I said James has actually helped to stretch my way of thinking. And when we started to talk about the reasoning factor, what was it that made me ask you to be on the podcast today?
I believe it was the stuff about gray areas and everything.
Absolutely. Tell me a little bit about that as you started to break it down.
Yeah, it's the idea that you need those areas to be able to talk to other people and yourself about the sides that you come from and the sides that you don't come from without any bias.
So good.
Yeah.
James, what does bias, so when we were on our way over here, the way I kind of pitched it to you is that when we interject bias into our reasoning factor, it's kind of like stopping the flow of creative energy.
Yeah, it's your own energy in that sense. I think it's it's useful, but it's also not. There's the self in the sense of you want your bias to uh, to be able to come from a space that protects you at the end of the day, but it also is,
That's good.
yeah, I had the words. We'll get back to it, but it's,
Yeah, that's fine.
yeah,
That's perfect because you said you want your bias to come from a place that protects you. However, what you don't want is that bias to cut you off from any possibility.
yes,
So, what the reasoning factor is your ability to look at a situation and begin to assign possible outcomes to it. What do you think about that, James?
yeah. It's when you're reasoning with something, you whether I think it starts with, and this is kind of what I was saying with bias, like it starts with yourself in that sense. Like you need to be able to reason with yourself before you can put yourself in a group setting or something like that to be able to reason with others, because then the ideas just get more and more complex. And if you show that you can't even reason with yourself, then it just creates all types of issues before you can actually get to the thing that you want to talk about in a group and everything like that. So
Wow.
you start with yourself, and with that you work in the gray area. You find the positives and negatives, the pros and cons, the 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 lumpy parts versus the pointy parts, and you you just weigh it all out and you try to come at it in a non-biased way. See, put yourself in other people's shoes, all that stuff. Remove the
Right.
bias, and then you add your bias to it later. Which
Mm.
bias is your? There's such a balance of how much of yourself do you put into it, and that's what the gray area allows you to do. It allows you to see it without yourself first, and then you slowly start putting your pieces of yourself into it, because sooner or later, at the end of the day, you do have to make a decision. You do have to come up with something that you
Right.
can put out into the world, because ultimately it's not tangible until you make a decision.
I love that. So that was all super powerful. So kind of let me just kind of go back and recap. So even as you begin to reason within yourself, just understand that that reasoning is going to weigh heavily on your self-worth. Now we talked about self-worth being one of the topics of conversation.
Yes.
So what do I believe? And James, he doesn't like this word.
Oh boy.
What do I believe I deserve?
Yeah, that's one of my words I don't like.
I love it though.
Yeah.
I love it. I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
What do I believe I deserve? What am I deserving of? And it's interesting because what you believe that you're able to accomplish is all based on your self-image. It's all based on the image and the idea that you have of yourself deep in your subconscious mind. And I just want to let you know that image was not created by you. That image, that version of you, if you're not, if you haven't taken an opportunity to upgrade or focus on personal development. James, you want to know what's interesting? And I've said this before. We're on maybe like the 15th version of the iPhone, and most people are still on like the first version of themselves.
Yeah.
No focus, no growth. They just kind of say things. How many times have you heard somebody say, "Oh well, I just am the way I am.
Yeah.
I am that way." But your reasoning factor, number one, is going to be determined by your paradigm. What do you believe
Yeah.
that you're capable of, right?
Yeah.
And then what do you believe is even possible? You know, James, we talked about we're always kind of talking about something, right?
Okay.
We talked about medical students. Remember that conversation?
Yeah.
And how, and you had a very interesting take on that, because they don't teach medical students how to use their reasoning factor.
Yeah.
And what was your take on that topic?
You're talking about the scientist thing?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. Yeah. It was the idea of like how we we place a lot of importance and quality into scientists, but to me, there's a element that needs to be acknowledged, and that's what I'd like to define it as is like the difference between scientists and wizards,
Mm.
and with with the connection to the medical practice and nurses and stuff, like they're right on top, they're right in that class and all that
Now,
stuff.
now, when you say wizards, so my community don't go crazy. What do you mean by that?
By wizards, I don't mean like fantasy stuff, like we're about to play some Dungeons and Dragons or something like that. I mean,
Okay.
by wizards, I just mean like this level of humanness that you add, this unpredictable factor, this thing that's not just driven by just data, and it's and that's when you're thinking about becoming a scientist or like doing any sort of scientific method of trying to figure something out, doing experiments over and over again,
Right.
you can lock yourself into being only for the data. And to me, that's honestly very scary.
Right, because they're looking to base future outcomes on past data.
Yeah, and it's also like the big questions that nobody can answer. It's like we're trying to put a label on everything when it comes to science and so many other things to where it's like we can't even at the end of the day label ourselves in that sense. We're still trying to figure out ourselves. So it's like if you're not going to put that into your method in some way,
So true.
it can lead to nothingness. It can lead to death.
Mm. So true. I love that. And we talked, and I spoke about the quote from Einstein that said, "Imagination was better than education
Yeah, yeah.
because education can only tell you what was. Imagination will tell you what could be."
Yes.
And when it comes to using this reasoning factor, it's so important to not focus on what was. Like I said, I used to use this gift against myself, and I was using it very well. Like most of us, like most of you out there, you use these things every single day, but you don't know that they're actual gifts. You don't know that they're actual tools. And the powers that be would love for you not to come to that understanding because they know that we become what we think about.
And I was actually on the opposite side to where I probably spent too much time in the gray zone, and I would, it would be I would be paralyzed and end up not making decisions. So it was just on the other side of that coin. And
Wow.
everything like that.
Analysis paralysis.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, my cousin was just talking to me about analysis paralysis. It's amazing because you keep saying it. You keep saying ultimately we have to make a decision.
Yeah.
Now, as I begin to unpack this, and the inductive reasoning factor is our ability to look into the future and assign different possible outcomes to that future. And James, would you agree that each one of those outcomes is a loose decision?
Yeah. Yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
Right, because ultimately we have to, in order to really bring anything forward, like we're making decisions all day long.
Yeah, yeah. Making decisions in this conversation
Absolutely.
all the time.
Absolutely. All right. So what questions am I going to ask? How am I going to answer it? Which way am I going to put my energy forward? They're all little micro decisions. A lot of times we think of decisions, we think of the big, the grand finale, right?
Yeah.
But nobody thinks of really the build up.
That's where I was going to say with self-worth. It's so important because with those decisions you trust yourself more and more as you increase your self-worth, as you
so good.
put yourself in more challenging positions, and you strengthen your mental fortitude and your convictions. you can then handle more, and you can then make decisions more on the fly. You can make tougher decisions and all that stuff. With like Marcus Aurelius, he had to make tons of decisions that were so complex and everything like that. The idea of handling all of that would be crazy, and it's just that's part of it. He had to keep himself grounded with that. You are a man, to where if he didn't, he would not have been able to be such a good leader. He would have gotten too big for his britches, or what the other way around and all that stuff. So it's such a balance with everything that we're talking about, and your decisions and your self-worth. It's a back and forth.
Wow. And you know what? That's so good. And decision is so important that in the book, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill,
Yeah.
he spent a whole chapter on decision.
Yeah.
What does it mean to make a decision? And it's interesting because when you make a decision, you tap into a vibration. And we can only attract into our lives what we're in vibrational harmony with. So as you begin to reason, when you begin to, let's just help someone out there who says, Michael, James, I hear that, but I'm still unclear on how to approach it. And before we go there, I want to talk about an example that we heard. I want to talk about an example, and it was a story that was told by Price Pritchett. You remember this story about the fly on the windowsill?
Yeah.
All right, so the way this goes, there's a fly on the windowsill, and Price Pritchett is in a little cafe in Canada, and he hears a fly on the windowsill, and this fly is just trying to get outside, but it's trying to get outside by breaking through the window pane. So he's trying harder, and he's just trying harder. And so 10 feet away, there's an open door. Just 10 feet of flying, 10 seconds of flight time, he could be outside. He can have the outcome that he desires. But he's so fixated on getting things done in this one particular way. And the struggle is actually part of the trap. So how many of you believe if you just tried a little harder, you could do a lot more?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If you just tried a little harder, you worked a few more hours, you got another job, you just worked a little bit harder. But the thing is, have you ever looked around a room and seen if there was another open door, or are you fixated? Or have you allowed your reasoning factor to imprison you?
Yeah.
What do you think about that, James?
I think you're hitting the nail on the head in that instance. It's the idea that the fly is not able.
I'm only a man.
The idea that the fly doesn't have those reasoning skills, and with that, it's like you got to take time. You got to realize that you can change. You can mold. You can look inward, and actually, I believe it's a miracle that you can just completely shift how you view and see things.
Oh, wee.
Yeah.
Oh, wee. You messing with me now. So my last episode was all about perception.
Yeah.
And how when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change.
Yeah.
So, James, I had to change the way I look at things, literally.
Yeah.
I'm coming up to or on like 7 months being without my physical eyesight.
You're blind?
Yeah. I know I move like I got 20/20.
Yeah.
And it's funny because my other senses have heightened so well. Some people think I'm just out trying to get a check. But it's whatever. But I really had to change the way I looked at things.
Yeah.
I had to change the way not just life, but myself. There was a minute there I was like, man, I'm worthless.
Yeah.
All my goals and dreams are done. There's nothing good about life. And I like to be very transparent about that. And it's interesting because I had this occur after James. I traveled the world speaking and teaching, telling people that they can do anything.
Yeah.
I worked with the one of the top personal development companies in the world, telling people they can do anything. And now my whole world is flipped upside down. And frankly, I just wanted to die.
Yeah.
And I really thank God for my baby girl, my daughter. If it wasn't for my daughter, man, I would have packed this thing up. But I realized that I couldn't do that to her. So I had to just muscle through it. But what happened is I had to begin to use my reasoning factor in a different way and begin to say, hold on, I have had a significant amount of personal success. I have had a significant amount of family success. I have had a significant amount of financial success. I have had a significant amount of spiritual success by way of connection and friends and family. You know, I consider you my family.
Yeah. I appreciate that.
My godfather told me, God give you family and the devil give you relatives. And I swear it's held up quite strong in public opinion.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
It's I don't talk to a lot of my family and everything like that, so that's
you mean relatives?
relatives. You
Yeah.
are right. Yes. With my relatives, yes. And with that it touches me in a way I can't really express.
No, I get it. You know what? This might even be a good segue to how do we, if we are not in the best relationship or communion with relatives, how do we use that inductive reasoning factor so that we will be okay?
Yeah, it's a tough one. I've met a lot of people who just stay there. They take the negativity, the abuse, the all of it from their family, and they just never get out. And just it's sad, but it's you. The only thing you can do is get yourself out of the situation. You can try to be introspective to hopefully change your perspective. To then shift everything from that point. And there's a few ways, but they're all difficult because literally all of your outlets are people that will tell you no or you can't do that or something of that nature, and it's difficult.
Wow. I'm going to keep saying the word relatives
Yeah, yeah,
because in the last 7 months, I've found out who my family was.
yeah,
The last 7 months, my family are those who make sure that I'm okay on a daily basis.
yeah,
Whether it's just something that simple like let's go to the store, or whether it's something like let me make sure you eat, or you went to the dentist with me a few weeks ago
yeah, yeah,
and you sat there with me.
yeah, yeah. It was nice. We had a great conversation. Just
Yeah.
like right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
I guess it was like the prelude to the podcast.
yeah, yeah,
You know, that's to me, that's family.
yeah. Yeah,
Ru-
I always grew up thinking like there's a certain one thing about me with how I've grown up is I kind of grew up in front of a TV. So I have these rose-colored glasses on what family or relatives are supposed to be and all that stuff. So
I understand.
when I think about my relatives, I'm like that's not they're not acting that way,
Wow.
and I'm sitting here like holding on to trying to act that way, and it gets really difficult. And then life happens, and I actually ended up traveling a lot, and I found the family you make along the way is kind of there for you a lot more than the other side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me about that blood is thicker than water thing.
Oh yeah. It's
As we tap into contradictions.
yes. There's a few phrases in our language that baffle me that we've actually learned the opposite effect of its wisdom. And one of them is blood is thicker than water.
Mm-hmm.
The full quote is actually the water of the wait. Oh my goodness! Can we curse on this podcast?
Sure.
Okay. The wow.
It was
I am
like
drawing it. The
blood is thicker than it was like
water.
Blood is thicker than water.
Cut this out later, please.
Okay.
What is it? It's the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb. That's what it is. The blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb. That's what it is.
The
Yeah.
blood of the covenant
I think.
is thicker
Yeah.
than the water of the womb. Well, that's still kind of going down the blood is thicker than water.
I'm actually just gonna have to look this up. I apologize.
No, don't apologize. You're only a man.
Yeah, the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb, in the sense of the
Oh,
not like the blood inside you and all that.
I
stuff.
get it.
Yeah.
Okay, the blood of the covenant
Yes.
is thicker than the water of the womb.
Yes.
Okay.
So all of the things you go through with your covenant end up being stronger than the thing that people say keeps you together that comes from family, quote unquote.
That's interesting. I want and with that, I want to give a big shout out to Mom Cindy. She just adopted me on Sunday. Very beautiful lady, super powerful. I like to call her TD Jakes in the dress. So I went up to her and I asked her, I was like, because I did see her, but I only seen her like once or twice. So I didn't want to be offensive to her. Like, hey, would you be my mom? She'd be like, I'm 48. But I asked her, it's like, how old is your oldest child? And she's like, well, 47, but they passed away or whatever. And I was just like, wow. I'm just like, I'm sorry to hear that. Would you mind adopting me? And she was like, Michael, absolutely. I love you. So what I did was I had this little piece of candy in my pocket. And James, I love my lifesavers. I really wanted that piece of candy, but I gave it to her. And I was like, I want to execute this covenant by sacrificing this piece of candy right here.
Yeah.
And she was like, no, you don't have to do that. I said, no, yes, I do. I said, no covenant is executed without sacrifice.
Yeah.
However, the blood of the covenant that you and I come into agreement with is thicker than the water of the womb. Henceforth, people who might be your siblings.
Yeah.
People who are cousin or aunt who.
Yeah. You're actively making decisions to be with the covenant rather than the innate just assumption of whatever else comes with who your immediate relatives are.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do y'all hear this, people? Where else are you getting this from?
Speaking words over here.
Yes, this is powerful stuff. Like, and the reason I say it's powerful because I'm growing right in front of your eyes. I'm growing right in front of your eyes. Like, that is just so powerful. The blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb.
Yeah. Another one is the jack of all trades, master of none. Full quote is jack of all trades, master of none, but often better than a master of one.
Absolutely. Often better than a master of one. And I was just talking to another friend. Big shout out to Trevor, my guy. Trevor.
Love Trevor.
Yeah, Trevor's amazing. I'm gonna get Trevor on once I can trust him. I don't know what Trevor would say.
Yeah, I believe the last time he said he was going to walk you into traffic. The last time.
Trevor was mad. We had a family game night, and it was a really cool game. And only reason Trevor said he would only come that if I personally invited him. But during the course of the game, I flipped on Trevor, and Trevor was highly upset. He said he was gonna walk me to traffic. However, we did go for a nice walk yesterday, and he was very accommodating. He was very cautious. He didn't run me into no.
Glad to see you're still here.
Yeah, he didn't try to throw me off any steps. And by the way, shout out to Jay Rich when I say that. Yeah, thank you, Jay Rich. Yeah, Trevor was good. But what he talked about was it was a gentleman. He's he might not be a billionaire yet, but he's kind of closing in on it. He was talking about how like back in the day, it might have been better to specialize, but nowadays it's better to kind of be more open, and kind of like freelance and put things together.
Yeah. And
so, all right. So now this is perfect, man. The Holy Spirit is really leading me on this. You are talk about a wizard. And once again, people, everything that's said on this podcast does not reflect. What is that? How they say may or may not reflect the views of this podcast, and I'm always thinking, why the heck are you even reading it?
Right.
But you are a bit of a tech whiz.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're a bit of a tech whiz when it comes to like IG and TikTok. Really, you're like a TikTok whiz.
Yeah,
and
pretty much all social media.
Yeah, tell us about that.
Yeah, I grew up in front of another screen, which computer screens and all that stuff, video games and all that, and I kind of have like a whole dual like side of myself that's just completely online, and with that comes from learning about social media, all of the things around it, communities with that, and how every social media is used for different things and all that stuff. And yeah, it's interesting, and I think it's the future.
I love it. So you were sharing some things with me as far as when it comes to running ads, and what you said was a lot of people just jump out there and run ads.
Yeah.
But they don't really take into consideration what platform they're running the ads on.
Yeah.
So go into a little bit of that. You know why? Because this has to do with decision making. This has to do with using your reasoning factor.
Yeah. So like with Facebook, there's a lot of the older generation is on Facebook. So that's a good reason to, if you're going to, depending on what you're advertising, you go on Facebook and do that. But with TikTok, there's definitely a lot more of the younger generation. So you'd want to do that there. And with the way that they work is also a whole thing. So if you have something that works better in a video form, you'd put that on YouTube versus on Instagram, which would work better with like photos. And you can look up your target audience and see where that target audience is on social media, what they use, and
right,
all that stuff. And that's where a lot of those ads can come into play. And like a lot of people just throw an ad somewhere, and it's not going to work if you're not looking for that niche, that target audience, or you're not even on the right platform.
Right. So what happens is it's that gray area again.
Yeah.
If a person goes in absolute, I'm just going to run an ad on here.
Yeah.
But if you kind of stay in that gray area and that's the word that we're going down, and being inquisitive.
Oh yeah.
Once again, curiosity killed the cat, but what?
Oh, satisfaction brought it back.
Come on.
And there's the other one.
Curiosity killed the cat. That's all you hear about.
Yep.
But satisfaction brought it back. So all you cats that have been killed by curiosity, keep going.
Yep.
Keep moving. Keep pushing. Keep looking. Satisfaction will bring you back. See, these are all these little things, James, that they've given us to control us.
Yeah.
They've given us to kind of keep us in this self-imposed prison. Yeah, I'm calling them out. Who is they? Whoever you want them to be.
Yes.
Damn it.
Yeah.
Whoever you want them to be, they, the powers that be, the same people that told you that Bruce Wayne was evil because he was an evil businessman, an evil billionaire.
Yeah, well, I do kind of agree with that.
Well, that's where we differ. Bruce Wayne was good. Oh, yeah, people, he told me another thing he said he was worried about me is that he said, I think about making money too much. Yes, I think about making money all the time. I'm always looking to monetize. I'm always looking for, and he said it, you say, I'm always looking for a way to monetize. You're absolutely right. You know why? Because like Jay-Z said, I'm not a businessman, I'm a businessman. That's right, we're going to monetize.
Yeah, and with that, I'm on the other side where you need to help me think about money more often.
Yes. So that's why we work very well together.
Yeah.
Because you pull me to the side and you say, you can't really talk like that.
Yeah.
People won't understand you. And then I'll pull you to the side and say, you can't really do that for free.
Yeah.
Shout out to Jay Rich. You can't really do that for free.
Yeah.
Funny thing, I wasn't planning on going this way, but everybody, I keep getting questions on, who's my stylist?
Oh, yeah?
Ain't that some ignorant stuff? Who's my stylist? I got out the car one day and I was going to see one of my lady friends. And she said, oh, look at you. You look nice. She said, Jay, what you dressed him? I said, whoa. Don't you ever disrespect me again like that. And so what if he did? But this one particular day, he didn't. I did myself.
Yeah.
So like I'm really good at, surprisingly, man. I mean, I guess I got the grace of God to be blind, man, because I get around pretty good.
Yeah.
I do a lot of things that a lot of people would be very surprised that I have the ability to do. That's why people are always looking at me. I mean, I hear people looking at me sideways. But yeah, Jay Rich keeps me sharp. But I had to tell Jay, like, Jay, no, say no. Stop saying yes, Jay. And then this joker turned around and started telling me no. I said, whoa, take it easy. Take it easy. It don't count for over here. Shout out to Jay Rich, man. I love you. Jay Rich Films. Keep everything tight, man.
He's awesome.
Yeah, he's definitely awesome, man. And James, this has been just, I didn't even really realize the depths of what this was going to be when I asked you. I just knew it was going to be something special. And we covered a lot of really good topics that can really help a lot of people.
Yeah.
And this guy right here, lean over.
Yeah.
When I reach for you, lean over.
There you go.
This guy right here, he has a big heart for people. Listen, he got such a big heart, his hair is red. He loves people. He's always thinking about ways that he can make life a little easier for other people. And it's interesting. It was interesting because I got to be very careful how I word this. I'm always telling him not to do that. Because what I say is make life easier for yourself first, and then go make life easier for other people. He's kind of more like, yeah, but the energy I could spend on myself, I could just spend lifting up the whole tide, which I find commendable. So I think with the two of us, we can find enough balance in that we can really do some good.
Yeah.
I'm selfish enough and you're selfless enough.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good balance.
Because, like I said, I came from the mud, people. I mean, I never really got into much. I never really got into much of, give me some dad,
Yeah, yeah.
of my past, and I will, but single family mom, North Philly, all the worst neighborhoods, all the any program, any government program there was, I was on it. I grew up very self-conscious because of it, and all I wanted to do, but I knew something innately, I knew it wasn't the right life for me.
Yeah.
And I would voice it as a kid. And I would have that squashed out of me immediately. So I learned to shut down. And I learned how to block that out. But that played a bad part for me some years down the line. Because I was making grown-up decisions with a child's mind. You ever been there?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a whole thing. You start learning the wrong lessons, or you learn a lesson too quickly, and then it can cause disastrous effects on the future and who you are.
Absolutely. So, I was very absolute about the fact that I wanted to grow up and make something of myself. I was very absolute that I wanted to grow up and help other people receive the kind of help that I wanted, but I just realized that I had to go do it first. I had to go get it first. Or how about this? Maybe that wasn't the only way. That's just the way that I bought into. And so now, because it's the way that I bought into, I'm trying to project and impose that on everybody else.
Yeah, that's part of the gray area. It's like one of the best things that you can do is realizing that you can't solve something within your own head with your own gray area, so you actually start projecting to be able to get other people's opinions. And it's almost like your subconscious has already made the decision for you, and you're looking for other outlets. And then
That's true, bro. The subconscious has all the answers.
Yeah, and that's why it really helps with the whole blood of the covenant thing and all that stuff. It really helps to know who's around you. Because if you're doing that, if you're looking for more answers, you can't figure it out in your own head. Those external forces are really going to be what starts to influence you. And if you don't have good people around you, that's going to, it's going to be a bad thing. A bad John, as they say.
That's a bad John. Shout out to Michael Cruz. God bless you wherever you are, Michael Cruz. That's a bad John.
Is he the one who made that word, or?
Yeah, he's the one who he coined that's a bad John.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's why it's living like that. So live forever, Michael Cruz.
Good to know.
You're just a man, Michael Cruz.
It's kind of funny. Yeah, I'm over here saying you're just a man, and you're over here telling me you're a man. Yeah.
It's interesting, man. It's interesting because, as this podcast goes out, I've started getting calls for speaking engagements and all kinds of stuff. It's going out to millions of people. Thank you, God. Thank you, everybody who out there listening, and people starting to, I guess, make known their true feelings about me.
Yeah.
I need somebody in my ear telling me,
you're just a man.
You're just a man. That'll do just fine, Jay Rich. You don't got to throw me down those steps. Just telling me I'm just a man will work just fine. But, James, this has been absolutely amazing. It's funny.
Absolutely amazing? No, I'm just
great. This has been greatly amazing in the gray area. Everybody in my life name is James.
Yes.
I got like 3 Jameses around me. When I went downstairs when that young lady was talking, She was on the phone with somebody named James.
Wow.
I said, is the whole world named James?
That's ridiculous.
That's crazy.
I went from being the only James I know to suddenly just populated with Jameses all over the place.
But now you know how I feel with the name Michael.
Yeah.
Literally, bro, amongst my relatives, you could throw one rock and hit 10 Michaels. It just crazy. I got an uncle Michael. He got a son Michael. Shout out to my Uncle Mike. I love you, Uncle Mike. He got a son Michael. And I'm Michael. I got a son Michael. Shout out to my Uncle Mike.
Nice. Uncle Mike.
Yeah, it's just been, then everywhere I go is just a lot of Michaels, and it's interesting because people have seen, I alluded to it a little bit, but people have seen a much different side of me today than they're usually used to seeing, James.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Usually I'm kind of very absolute, very black and white. I do make jokes because that's just part of my nature.
Oh, yeah.
But I just get the message out. But today they kind of see me in that place of just like joking and like awe and kind of like, defiant and just like joking around. And, I feel like this has just been a very special moment. I'm very grateful to you for coming on and sharing.
I'm happy to be here. I'm going to appreciate the opportunity.
So where can people find you, man? Like if let's say somebody wants to,
To be continued.
Okay, let's say somebody wants to get some ads ran or maybe get a consultation on a podcast, which he gave me some very, very good feedback. And once again, I tried to do what?
Absolutely.
I tried to monetize it.
Oh, yeah.
I said, man, you need to start a podcast consulting business.
It's funny because I say that I'm worried about you in that sense, but I also know that I have tons of advice to be able to give you to continue doing the thing that I'm telling you to watch out for.
That's that contradiction.
Yeah. That's
that fine balance. Again, so yeah, I'm like, whoa, he needs to create a podcast consultation business. Like the information was just so good. So if somebody wants to get their podcast up and running, somebody wants to run some ads, or someone wants to find out if they're running the right kind of ad for the right space, or if somebody wants a ghostwriter.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
This brother sneezes out 2,000 words. If he pulls you...
That's without AI.
Yeah. If he pulls you to the side and says he wants to read you a little something, just cancel your schedule for the day. just cancel everything you got because you're going to be there for a minimum of 2,000 words.
Yeah, at least.
Yeah, minimum. So, I mean, where would you like... I mean, is there an email? Is there social media? Is there...
How about this? Let's go through you.
Okay.
And then they can get to me. But to be continued. The next time I'm on the podcast, I'll have everything set up and ready. I've been keeping my digital footprint low until I'm ready to do bigger things. And with that, this is a debut. Okay.
Y'all hear that? If you want to get to him, you got to go through me.
Yeah.
I love that. It's funny. It's a few people in my life that's like that nowadays.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if y'all want to talk to Mr. James Heine just to get maybe some ghostwriting, maybe get some advice, just reach out to me on Instagram, Coach Michael Lowman, and I promise you, just like the book Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill said he's going to lace the secret all through the book. He said, I'm not going to give it to you, but when it's time to catch it, you'll catch it. And we laced this whole podcast, this whole entire podcast, every topic we talked about, we laced it with the reasoning faculty. So go back, grab your pen and your paper, and once more, James, you have anything else you want to say to these beautiful souls?
Just try to remember the idea of balance with everything that we're doing, with everything that you do, with everything that's talked about. It's really the key. It's just the idea of you're just a man versus you're a man. That's learn to tell yourself which one it is and balance that.
And with that being said, go out there F some things up.
Yeah.
Can you say that for me?
Go out and fuck some things up.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
Go out there F some things up. Go out there and crack some eggs.
Yeah.
And you'll find your way. I had a mentor. Shout out to Manny Fernandez. He's the first person that ever gave me the permission to go fail.
Yes.
He gave me the permission to go fail, bro.
Yeah. That's a big one.
That's wild, ain't it?
Yeah.
Everybody else in my life told me go be perfect.
Right.
I even had this chick one time play this song for me, the Leah John, and the words was, "At your best, you are loved."
Wow.
Yes. At your best, you are loved. You're a positive, motivating force within my life. At your best, you are loved. What about at my worst?
Right.
What about in my middle, in my in-between?
Yep.
And she literally played this song for me.
Dang. Whew.
And I think she was just saying, because I definitely wasn't at my best at the time.
Well,
I was struggling. Matter of fact, I was at what I thought was my best. I was struggling, bro. And she, I guess that was her way of saying, like, yeah, I'm kind of backing up off you because you're not at your best. You're not what I thought, because my charisma was so crazy that, you know, it's a little blinding at first. All pun intended. It's a little blinding. So once that wore off, it was like, oh, wow, you don't got this, you don't got that. She literally played that song for me. At your best, you are loved. What about at my middle?
Yeah.
What about when I'm struggling?
Yeah.
What about when I'm trying to recreate myself?
Yeah, that sounds like. Keep searching. There's plenty of fish in the sea.
Oh, I've landed a nice little fish.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've landed a nice little fish. Nice little fishy.
Yeah.
Shout out to Fishy. All right, guys, listen. This has been amazing. And I want you to remember this. Without sight, you can make it. Without that relationship, you can make it. Whatever it is that you may have felt like you have lost, you can make it. Why? Satisfaction gonna get it back. But I always tell people, without sight, you can make it. But without a vision, you perish. God bless. Peace.
See ya.
See ya.
Thank you.
Everything that you said, I'ma believe it until I see it. All of your promises are yeah, and amen.